GoPMO offers a combination of products that assist entire project teams deliver their projects with incredible efficiency, unlocking revenue and growth.
GoPMO products were built to support the full project team, not just the project manager. Each role has a critical part to play in project delivery, and each have their own project content to contribute and reference. The project manager needs the scope, work plan, issues log, and status reporting. The BA shapes the business and functional requirements to meet the intended scope, as well as navigating review and approval workflow with internal stakeholders and/or customers. The engineer documents design, configuration, and potentially architecture to meet the requirements. The QA analyst defines the test scenarios and test cases to evaluate whether the solution matches the requirements. All of them working together define and manage project content and management artifacts to guard against scope, time, or resource issues and risks.
Now let's take a look at GoPMO's products in the context of each of the project team members to see what a day in the life of each would look like. Let's start with Impel. It is technically Impel to the power of X, representing undefined and limitless momentum forward, but we just say Impel. Although we didn't mention this role as part of the project team, let's start with the Project Portfolio Manager, or PPM. This role can also be served by a business owner, because this persona is usually initiating the projects for the rest of the project teams. The PPM will be interested in overall project health across all projects and actively monitoring the aggregate key performance indicators that showcase areas to focus on. The PPM would also be interested in resource utilization, capacity, budget, project performance, and the degree to which a combination of project issues remain open. The PPM can stage projects and assign resources so that the portfolio is planned and predictable. The PPM often defines the budget items and health indicator sensitivity for when an item downgrades to a needs attention or an at-risk state. With the overall view in mind, the PPM can feel confident in having a real-time pulse on portfolio performance and have the path and vehicles to intervene where needed. The project manager, or PM, has several value-add features at their disposal. Project snapshots, an interactive work plan, issues log, activity tracking, project team management, traceability, and status reporting, to name a few. The work plan has many helpful features to track tasks, milestones, ownership, dependencies, and progress, either by time tracking or just a simple percent complete. Baselines are available to track several iterations of planned versus actual start and completion dates. The issues log tracks general project issues, decisions, assumptions, and risks with an easy-to-navigate issues log that can be grouped, sorted, and filtered to their liking. Activities and time entry across many projects can be updated in one panel without having to navigate to each project. The project team is easily managed like an org chart, which functions as a layer of security since resources not assigned to the project will never see the project. Project teams can support both internal and external members for an extra level of access security. Project traceability helps the PM ensure the full scope is being delivered and validated to be at the intended quality by connecting the requirements with the corresponding solutions and test scenarios. Project status reporting is completed with a few clicks with data-driven content. Comments and context can be added if desired. Copies of the status reports are always available to show trends throughout the project history.
The business analyst, or BA, focuses on the business and sometimes functional requirements. The BA often must translate narratives into succinct requirements and stories that can be estimated and designed for. Using the requirements panel, the BA can define each requirement, assign them to a group, establish a priority, and elaborate on their respective stories. Once sufficiently defined, the BA can leverage the built-in workflow to have them reviewed and approved. There can be up to 3 rounds of separate approvals involving different layers of approvers. Once the approval process is initiated, the requirements change to pending, and no additional changes can be made without forcing a restart of the approval process. This ensures one version of truth. Approvers can ask questions or decline a requirement if they believe it does not meet the need. If the approver asks a question, That question is added to the project issues log, making every requirements question visible to the project manager and the BA. Once a requirement is approved, the status changes to approved, and the requirement stays locked, and any changes require initiating the approval process again. Using this built-in approval workflow, the BA can achieve a complete, thorough, and vetted set of requirements in a fraction of the time. For traditional requirements reviews, there is a built-in business requirements document, or BRD, report that can be produced, distributed, and reviewed as a whole. The engineer must translate the requirements into a set of relevant designs, configuration, architecture, or schematics, all of which can be stored in Impel. Using the Solutions panel, the engineer can define at a granular level each of those relevant design items. Once sufficiently defined, the engineer can leverage the same built-in workflow to have them reviewed and approved. The same 3 rounds of separate approvals are available for solutions as well. Each solution can be connected to one or more requirements and test scenarios to establish traceability among the relevant items. This is a valuable link between critical project content, easily ensuring nothing is missed.
The QA analyst, or QA, must translate the approved requirements into executable test scenarios and corresponding test cases, each with an expected outcome. Using the Test Scenarios panel, the QA can define each test scenario, positive and negative, assign them to a group, establish a priority, and elaborate on their respective test cases. Creating base test scenarios automatically, the QA can select the user stories from the approved requirements and generate test scenarios for each in a few clicks. This automation also establishes a connection between the test scenario and the requirements that feeds into traceability. Once sufficiently defined, the QA can leverage the same built-in workflow to have them reviewed and approved. Critical time-saving collaboration between testers and engineers is built in. When test cases are exercised, the tester records the pass or fail status. If the test case failed, the tester assigns ownership to a project team member to review the outcome and resolve it. The team member who resolves the issue changes the status to ready for retest, signaling to the tester the test case is ready to be exercised again. And once the test case is exercised again, the tester updates the status accordingly to pass or fail. This cycle can continue through several iterations if need be. Several repeat cycles on the same set of test cases usually points to a misalignment on the requirement. A comprehensive report is also available that provides the testing metrics and the disposition of each scenario. Unique to Impel is the ability to engage the customer or external vendors within the project workspace with complete confidence that they will only have access to or engage with project content for which they are assigned or given ownership. The benefit of this access is customer immersion and become more vested in the project and its outcome. The approval workflow caters specifically to external stakeholders that need to be engaged without having to export, extract, or maintain various versions outside the system. Same for third-party vendors participating in the project. They can securely and safely have real-time access to relevant project content, adding to team collaboration and efficiency.